Good morning. It's Wednesday, the 20th of October. Our main story this morning. Health leaders are demanding the immediate introduction of some coronavirus restrictions in England to avoid stumbling into a winter crisis.
The NHS Confederation says a sharp rise in cases means measures including face coverings in crowded spaces should be implemented. Here's our health editor, Hugh Pym.
The NHS Confederation says that increases in hospital COVID numbers are worrying and that with other demands on the service and pressure on staff, health leaders are worried about what might be round the corner. The latest government figures show that week on week, UK COVID cases, deaths and hospital admissions are all rising at a rate of 10% or more, though they remain well below levels seen in January.
What we have seen is that although cases have been gradually moving up in the UK since early August, the last week or so there's been a particular surge in infections, and not only in infections, but we're now seeing hospitalisation data going up, people in respiratory care beds, and also deaths have started to rise, whereas deaths have been pretty flat for most of the last 2 to 3 months.
The NHS Confederation has called on the government to take preemptive action and enact Plan B in England, drawn up by ministers to be implemented if pressure on the NHS becomes unsustainable, with measures including compulsory face coverings in some settings, vaccine passports and more working from home. Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland all currently have tighter restrictions, including mandatory face coverings in some public places. Yesterday, Downing Street said the government was not complacent and there'd been no discussion about moving to Plan B in England, while the key message was the vital importance of the vaccine booster programme. Hugh Pym, BBC News.
Managers running care services in England say staff shortages are so acute they have to make difficult decisions about which patients they can support.
The National Care Forum says it shows the stark reality of the pressure the care system is under. Here's our social affairs correspondent, Alison Holt.
This is vital work, caring for people who are older or disabled, either in a care home like this or in their own home. But it's become so difficult to fill jobs. Care managers say people are working even longer hours and office staff are filling in gaps in the rota. Exhaustion from the pandemic, compulsory jabs in care homes and better pay being offered in other sectors are all adding to the problems. 340 care managers with more than 21,000 staff responded to questions from organisations representing them. They had an average of 17% of jobs vacant. More than 2/3 had stopped or limited some services, including saying no to taking patients from hospital. It's estimated together they've turned down nearly 5,000 requests for help since September the 1st.
I think all of us across the sector, including myself and many others of my peers, are really seriously concerned because we can't see any end in sight, I guess, to the current situation. You know, the situation is getting progressively worse month on month with no end in sight. And I think with winter coming and all the additional pressures that are placed on staffing under normal circumstances throughout the winter, you know, it really is grave cause for concern. And we're seeing every single day people saying, do you know, I just can't do this anymore and I'm leaving social care.
The government says it is putting more money into the care system, including investing in training and regular recruitment campaigns for staff. Alison Holt, BBC News.
4 people have been arrested in connection with a gas explosion at a house in Heysham in Lancashire, which killed a toddler.
2-year-old George Hines died when the blast ripped through his house in May this year. His parents were also injured, but they survived. A man and a woman have been arrested on suspicion of manslaughter, along with 2 other men. All 4 have been released on bail.
It's a month since a volcano on one of Spain's Canary Islands erupted, forcing thousands of people to leave their homes.
Lava is still spewing on La Palma, with close to 2,000 buildings destroyed. And now experts say they have no idea when the eruptions will end. Our correspondent Dan Johnson has sent this report.
It still has the capacity to attract and enthrall, but after a month, it's become an overbearing backdrop to much of life here. an incredible spectacle with its own mundane chores. Ryan does this once a week.
Quizás no te afecte directamente a ti.
Maybe it doesn't affect you directly, he says, but a family member or someone you know.
I want it to end. It's not too worrying for me, but it is for my family. And in the meanwhile, we just have to live with it.
They have this kind of strong mentality that they say it doesn't matter what comes, we go through it and pa adelante, going forward.
Lucas isn't going forward. This is what happened to the house he lived in for 60 years. His wife, Nieves, can't bear to watch.
I cannot put into words losing the house my father built, which should have been for my children and grandchildren. It's a miracle we have this flat because I know people sleeping in cars, in tents and caravans.
There's no sign of this eruption easing at all. In fact, if anything, the volcano only gets more active. And it's actually grown over the weeks as the layers of lava have built up and hardened. But there's still fresh lava pouring down the hillsides too, destroying more farmland, homes and villages. And there are new fires breaking out all the time. There are amazing survival stories. These dogs have been fed by drone for 4 weeks. And now there's an attempt to use one to rescue them. But there's little hope for the homes still in the way of the lava. And the longer it flows, the further it reaches, smothering more of this island. Dan Johnson, BBC News, La Palma.
At least 46 people have died as a result of 2 days of flooding triggered by heavy rain in northern India.
Images and videos from the state show flooded roads, submerged homes, fallen bridges as well. Floods have also hit the southern state of Kerala, where at least 26 people have died in recent days.
Now, the man behind popular film songs like Goldfinger and Willy Wonka has died at the age of 90.
Leslie Bricusse had a wide-ranging career writing hits for numerous musicals and films. Tim Ullman has this report.
There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination.
You may not know the name, but you'll definitely know his songs. Leslie Bricusse, as lyricist and composer, was behind some of the most well-known and most beloved film music of the last 60 years. Confirming his death on social media, his friend, the actress Dame Joan Collins, said, "One of the giant songwriters of our time has sadly died. I will miss him terribly." Sentiments echoed by singer Elaine Page, who tweeted, "She was shocked and saddened by the news, describing him as one of our great songwriters." And Nancy Sinatra said, "My heart is aching today because one of the loves of my life is gone." Leslie Bricusse was born in London in 1931. In a career spanning more than 7 decades, he co-wrote the theme to 2 James Bond films, won 2 Oscars and a Grammy, and was involved in the writing of more than 1,000 songs.
The Candyman can. Candyman.
In his memoir, he said he was one of the luckiest people he knew. Generations of filmgoers may disagree. Luck had nothing to do with it.
'Cause the Candyman thinks it sure.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.